Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a way of getting better at our craft, our skills, our hobbies. And this is based off of my experience personally, some research that I've been, fond of over the last, I guess, 10, 20 years. And it all came to light today from a conversation I had with a friend who I'm working with on making the coffee product. So, welcome, our best self. Here I share ideas and tips that will help you make yourself better to be your best self. That's it. So, if you're thinking about what you're doing in life, there's lots of ways of executing. We think big goals, big dreams, big milestones. We see all of this future of how we're working towards things, and we set these goals up. And there are when you break it down, there's two ways to approach our goal. You can approach it in large chunks, or you can approach it in small pieces. And there's lots of value in both, and both need to exist at some level. But when you're trying to get better at things, learn new things, create a new skill, build a new business, write a new book, we start with one of those and not the other. And so this discussion is, how do you know, should you go with large efforts and milestones, or should you go with small iterations and repetitions? And it all has to do with what you're trying to build and grow. Again, both have their benefits, but I'm going to highlight why one is superior in these situations. And it's for your benefit. So if you want to think about it as running, is it better for you day one in Monday morning to go for a 10-mile run if you have not been running, and then recover, and then the next Monday run another 10 miles? And you just continue that. So large, big effort once a week. Or is it better to run maybe a quarter or half a mile in the morning on Monday, and then in the evening on Monday, and then repeat that throughout the week, accumulating 10 total miles in that week, and then doing that every week? It is the second small pieces approach than the large one. And this, on a running physical body kind of way, it is obvious. And it is because if you went out and ran 10 miles, you probably couldn't walk for 2, 3 days after. And then by the second Monday, you will probably have shin splints, and things will not feel great, and you'll probably be injured. And it's just because it's just too much to bite off at once when you haven't built the tolerance, the technique, and allowed your body just to acclimate to doing it. Doing it in small pieces, from running athlete point of view, you are allowed to adapt. I got to stretch my left ankle more, or wow, those shoes were terrible, I need to buy running shoes, right? You get quick feedback, and you have a lower risk of injury because you're doing it in an amount of volume or work and events that allows you to gain this knowledge safely in order to do a lot more training. Now, so this large versus small iteration, this also comes when we're trying to build things. I, right now, am making coffee and doing a couple other things, but I have one guy, he makes the syrup for the brew, which is awesome. But one thing that I had challenged him on recently is we make one or two big batches of it, and we experiment, which is awesome, with different flavors. The problem is, when we've made it, now we have a lot of syrup that we need to use because we need it for the product, but the flavor profiles maybe are not what we want. They're not the experience we're going for. So that batch may be bad from that context, delicious taste, but maybe not what we're going for. And that whole week is lost. That whole batch is gone. All the cost to doing it, all the time to make it is gone. Well, then the next week we make another big batch. And again, maybe it's too sweet, or there's not enough lavender, or there's too much vanilla, or the rosemary is punching it through and you can't taste anything else. And then we wait to the next week, and then we do another one. you can see the fault here from when you're standing outside and watching it. You're like, wait, why would you? Why are you experimenting with a large batch of product? Why don't you practice with small ones? And that's exactly the secret. The secret to getting better at things and developing a skill set, and whether it's running, making syrup for coffee, becoming an author, being great at your profession, is repetitions. And the better the repetitions are, the better and faster you'll grow. Now that doesn't mean that you have to be right every time. It means that you need to give your best effort in each little repetition, having a beginning and an end in that repetition. So in the syrup case, instead of making a 20, 30 ounce syrup, which takes 3-4 pounds of sugar, make 2 ounces. Make a lot of 2 ounces, but make 1 2-ounce and then make another 2 ounce slightly different, and another 2 ounce with slightly different spices and flavors and essences. By the time you get to 5, 10, 15, 20 of these in the same week, now we have really dialed in some interesting flavors, interesting experiences. So one, from a product point of view, we've got a lot. We know which one we want to go with from that moment forward because we've found out of the 10, 20, which ones are fantastic. And we did it in 1 week, as opposed to doing one a week for 10, 20 weeks to get to that same result. But not just from a product side and a success output side, there's also the human. So you and I, every time we do something, we learn from it. Our technique changes, our how we measure, how we balance out things. We take what we learn and we put it into the next thing we do. That's why when people hire, they look for some, and depending on the seniority of the position and the complexity of the work, they look for people that have experience in it. It's not because one person is smarter than the other. It's because I want the doctor, the human, the person, if they're doing work for me, to have the 5, 10, 20, 30 years experience across all the different nuances of what we're doing on my team. Because then I know they're going to be able to apply that and then bring that into what we're doing together. And that doesn't mean you can't start at zero and do this stuff. That's the very reason you can do this at starting at zero, is through those small iterations. So always look for chances to do, chances to participate, activities. Hey, could I present that? I haven't presented yet. Hey, can I make the deck? Because I haven't made the deck yet. Hey, I'm going to make my pasta. I'm going to make my tomato sauce. I'm going to write our company's newsletter every day for the next 90 days. Whatever it is, whatever your passion, whatever you're doing, you want to find ways to do small repetitions, beginning and ends, of the thing that you want to get better at. And you will get better at a scale far faster than anyone else who is doing it one big one at a time, once a week or once a month. If you wrote every day for a year, your writing would exceed most people that write once a week. If you spoke publicly once a week or every night, you can understand why the person who spoke every night would be better at it. They'd be able to connect better. They would be more persuasive. You would understand what they're trying to do and say. They both could have started at the same place. It's just the repetitions make one person better than the other. That is what you want to look for in the people you bring in, the experience, but also the habit of breaking things into small tasks in order to, 1, give you feedback, 2, get feedback, and 3, improve and learn in that process. Big, large goals are great. Like, I want to build a large company. I want to write and create a lot of things. Awesome. Those are all things you should want and work towards. But you don't want to wait 9 months to make or bake that one thing when you can be working on it daily, hourly, weekly. You decide and get more chances at bat, more chances to succeed. It is a volume game for many things. The exposure rate, your ability to merge those ideas together, all accelerate faster with exposure. So what do you need to look for? If you would like to get better at things, what should you look for? You should look for ways to break down what you're enjoying, what you want to learn, into small beginning and end events, preferably daily. You would like to find things that have a low risk should you fail, meaning that if I mess this up, it's a low impact because you are going to mess up. If you do so many times, you're going to discover an iteration where that was bad or you made a mistake. Everybody's going to experience that. Failure always appears. But the nuance here is if you fail with small impacts, that is not a big deal. But if you're in the large effort group, you're eventually going to have a failure. And that failure might represent 9 months of work that fails. You might, have bigger, you will have bigger risk events that have a bigger impact in your life. And that's okay. You can recover from those too. But man, it'd be nice to have low impact ones and still have the same failure rate as somebody else. And speaking of failure rates, if you do 10 efforts a week and I'm doing 1 a week and I fail 1 time in a week, I failed 100% for that week, meaning that I have zero output for me to learn from other than 1 event. For you, if you failed 1 time in that week, you have 9 other successes that carry you forward, and you've got the lesson from the failure to apply forward. So it's a win-win no matter how you go. You will have a higher growth rate, a higher success rate. You'll gain more experience faster, and you'll be more valuable to those that you're working with if you do more iterations, shorter cycle, lower risk, and being okay with failing. Failing is not bad. Failing should be the input to the next iteration, the next event of what you're going to do. So apply this to your work, apply this to your home life, your loves, your passions, your hobbies. Find ways to build on it, and you will absolutely be better, happier. And when you do have failures, it's okay. They're small. And a little stat for you, because people always say like, wow, it takes so much time to do some of this stuff. If you spend 15 minutes a day for a year and work on one skill, you can pick anything really, one skill, you'll be better than 94% of the people in the world. 15 minutes a day is not a lot. Most people lose 15 minutes, just glancing down the street. You can do this. You can better yourself. You are in control. Have an amazing day. Subscribe. Let me know how I can help you. Put your ideas and comments in down below, and have an amazing day.